it's not just startup. There is deep tech startup and there's startups. And I think I would like to pick up what Mr. Rockström said. We are quite aware that we need to pace higher, right, to innovate. And if you want to look for that, you have to go to deep tech. You have to look for disruptive technology. And I think that is one of the, let's say, difficult side in Germany. And I would like to share just like our journey lately in the past couple of months, so you get an idea of what it's like to work in a startup that is deep tech. So, as I mentioned, we're about to raise the Series A. So we had a nice seed funding, and now we'd like to continue to build up our pilot plant and prove that we're scalable. And what we did was, of course, we talked to a lot of investors, sure, but we also reached out to publicly funded organizations. And I'd like to mention two to explain to you why I think there's a lot of homework in Germany. The first one, let's say Sprint. I think most of you know them. I'm a big fan of Sprint. I think it's a great idea. Sprint is, for those who don't know it, Sprint is the German deep tech agency. They want to back up like really bold and disruptive and transformative technologies and startups, right? And the thing is that we've been talking with them and it's going well, very well, but right now they do actually have a problem. And the problem is you might say, well, why do we have something like this in Germany? The thing is, Sprint right now is kind of stuck. Why? Because the budget of 2025, that is the Staatshaushalt 2025, is not approved yet. So, new projects that should move fast are kind of like retarded right now, on hold. And to continue, if you take Sprint and they're fully operational, let's say we approved the Haushalt 2025, so they operate, I hope I'm not lying, roughly 190 million of budget annually. So this might sound big, but if you look at DARPA, which is the US version of Sprint, their annual budget is roughly 4 billion. I think 2025 it's 4.3 billion. And they focus on investing or funding very high-risk startups. And to compare that with German, well, I don't need to mention that. The thing is, if you also look at,
we have some catching up to do there.
Yeah, if you look at DARPA, for example, you will see they have roughly, I think, 10% of success rate. So a lot of projects fail, but the ones that do succeed, they change the world. I mean, if you look at DARPA, no DARPA, there would be no internet. No DARPA, there would be no GPS or AI breakthroughs for ChatGPT. And companies like let's say SpaceX or how you call it, Moderna, right?
Moderna, yeah.
They wouldn't have survived the valley of death if it wasn't for the contracts of DARPA and the funding of DARPA. So I think what we need to understand is there is risk. Deep tech is by definition risk. It's not, it's because like deep tech is about solving the most complex, the hardest problem, so to unlock biggest potential, biggest opportunities, right?
You're describing a deep chasm between the potential that we have here, that we can all agree, that Professor Rockström mentioned it as well, great research, great ideas, and then the scalability of it, because of lack of funding, because that's suddenly where a different kind of risk attitude is taking place. It's a cultural thing,
Exactly, it's a cultural thing, it's a mindset. And if you look at the way, like, we Germans approach these investments, it's more about avoiding failure.
And then, Dr. Oller, are we avoiding, is Commerzbank, well, you mentioned earlier, obviously, I mean, you know, you can't just say, oh, I
we have our fair share of failures in our investments as well, and when you do investments such early stage, you need to be aware of the fact that there's sometimes a unicorn in it, and then you're celebrating that, but unfortunately there are also a number of investments which do not work out. I think we have had also some tough years the last 3, 4, 5 years. I started that 10 years ago when I joined the bank. I was the head of strategy when I joined, and I basically introduced with the support of the CEO by that time, Commerce Venture, and did the first fund. This first fund is still great. But it was a different time, different price levels, different investments, and a lot of money came in the system. A lot of things got financed, and now we are a little bit stuck. And that is also part of the story. One part is the funding part, but then you need to also have a market where you can basically displace it. You need to have a functioning capital market, and at a certain point in time, you can also IPO things and find again investors for it. That's a problem which we have actually across the world. That is not a German problem. It's a problem which we currently have with all these early stage things one thing is to invest, the other thing is to also show a success and have a liquid market, to say it like that. Coming back to the original question, when you have an impact solution, I mean, if you have something for the large companies, you can always go directly to the large companies. If you have something which is fitting also for medium-sized companies, you definitely should use banks, use us, for example, with the Impact Festival, which is once a year, which is basically a marketplace where we put together Mittelstand clients on the one side, many of them, and on the other side, we provide the platforms for startups who are basically in the impact area, who can present during 3 days their solutions, their ideas to clients, and that is one way of bringing them together. And I know that we have not only the only form, there are more than these